In the heart of a raging war, where the roar of engines drowned out cries of fear, a young woman climbed into her cockpit, dismissed by her enemies as just another flyer in the chaos. But in 20 blistering minutes, she shattered their illusions, claiming 6 enemy jets from the sky and etching her name into the annals of aviation history. This isn't a tale spun from fantasy. It's the gripping, real-life saga of a pilot whose skill and nerve prove that underestimation can be the deadliest mistake of all. Prepare to soar through a story of grit, quick thinking, and unbreakable spirit that reminds us how one person's resolve can alter the course of battle and inspire generations. Elena Petrova gripped the control stick of her MiG-29 fighter jet, her hands steady despite the sweat beading on her forehead. The year was 1992, and the conflict over the disputed territories in Eastern Europe had turned the skies into a deadly arena. Elena, a 28-year-old lieutenant from a small village in Ukraine, had always been seen as just another pilot in the squadron. Her male colleagues often joked about her slight build and quiet demeanor, calling her the little bird behind her back. But Elena had trained harder than any of them, logging countless hours in simulators and pushing her body to its limits during grueling flight exercises. She knew the jet's every quirk, the way the engines hummed at full throttle, the precise angle for a sharp bank turn, and how to read the radar like a map to hidden treasures. That morning, the briefing room buzzed with tension. Intelligence reports warned of an incoming enemy formation, a group of advanced Sukhoi jets from the opposing forces, armed with missiles that could lock on from miles away. The squadron leader, Captain Ivanov, assigned Elena to the rear guard position, a spot usually reserved for less experienced pilots. "Stay back and cover our flanks," he said gruffly, not meeting her eyes. Elena nodded, hiding her frustration. She had aced every combat drill, but prejudices lingered in the Air Force, where women were still rare and often doubted. As the squadron lifted off from the makeshift airstrip, the sun glinted off the wings like a promise of glory. Elena's jet roared to life, climbing swiftly into the blue expanse. Below, the landscape was a patchwork of forests and rivers scarred by recent bombings. Radio chatter filled her headset, positions confirmed, weapons checks complete. Then, the alert came, enemy contacts on radar, approaching fast from the northeast. The lead pilots engaged first, diving into a dogfight that lit up the sky with tracer fire and missile trails. Elena held her position, scanning her instruments. Suddenly, her radar pinged, 2 enemy jets breaking off to flank the squadron. They were sleek, painted in camouflage grays, and moving with predatory grace. Without hesitation, Elena banked hard left, accelerating to intercept. Her heart pounded, but her mind was clear, calculating distances and speeds. The first enemy pilot spotted her too late. She locked on with her R-73 missile, firing it in a streak of smoke. The jet exploded in a fireball, debris raining down like confetti from hell. The second enemy twisted away, pulling into a high G-turn. Elena followed, her body pressed against the seat as she matched the maneuver. G-forces tugged at her vision, but she held firm, squeezing off a burst from her cannon. Bullets tore through the enemy's wing, sending it spiraling out of control. 2 down, and the real fight was just beginning. Adrenaline surged through her veins, sharpening her senses. She radioed her squadron, flank clear, moving to assist. But the battle was escalating. More enemy jets swarmed in, outnumbering her comrades. Elena spotted a third target lining up on Captain Ivanov's tail. She dove in, her jet screaming through the air. The enemy fired a missile, but Elena deployed flares, drawing it away. In the split second of distraction, she unleashed her own missile, watching it home in and detonate against the foe's fuselage. 3 kills now, and the sky felt alive with possibility. As she pulled up, avoiding a hail of gunfire, Elena's thoughts flashed her childhood. Growing up in a modest home, she had dreamed of flying while watching birds soar over the fields. Her father a mechanic, had encouraged her, teaching her about engines and aerodynamics. "The sky doesn't care if you're a man or woman," he'd say. "It only respects skill." Those words fueled her now as she engaged a fourth jet. This one was piloted by a veteran, evading her locks with expert rolls. Elena anticipated his move, cutting inside his turn and firing her cannon in a precise arc. The enemy plane shuddered, smoke pouring from its engines before it plummeted. The radio crackled with astonishment from her squadron. "Petrova, how are you doing this?" one pilot asked. She didn't respond, focused on the fifth contact, a jet climbing high to gain advantage. Elena followed, pushing her MiG to its limits. At 20,000 feet, the air thinned, but she closed the gap. A missile exchange ensued, both dodging and weaving like dancers in a lethal ballet. Finally, her shot connected, shredding the enemy's tail. 5 down. The sixth and final jet appeared on her radar, the leader of the pack, heavily armed and aggressive. It turned head-on toward her, challenging her to a game of chicken. Elena held her course, waiting for the perfect moment. As they hurtled toward each other, she fired a salvo, then veered sharply. The missiles struck true, turning the enemy into a blazing wreck. In just under 20 minutes, Elena had single-handedly downed 6 jets, saving her squadron from certain defeat. Breathing heavily, she circled back to base, her fuel low and jet scarred by near misses. The landing was smooth, but her legs shook as she climbed out. Her comrades surrounded her, clapping her on the back, their earlier doubts replaced by awe. Captain Ivanov saluted her. "You weren't just any pilot today, Lieutenant. You were a legend." News of her feat spread like wildfire through the ranks, boosting morale and proving that talent knew no gender. Elena's story became a symbol of resilience, inspiring other women to join the Air Force. But for her, it was simply doing her duty, one flight at a time. Elena Petrova's remarkable aerial victory didn't end with the cheers on the tarmac. As the sun set on that fateful day, she was whisked into a debriefing room lit by harsh fluorescent lights. Generals from high command had flown in, their faces a mix of skepticism and curiosity. 6 kills in 20 minutes? That's impossible, one grumbled, flipping through radar logs. Elena sat straight-backed, recounting every maneuver with calm precision. She described the radar pings, the G-forces, the split-second decisions that turned the tide. By the end, even the doubters nodded in respect. Her jet's black box confirmed it all, data points painting a picture of unparalleled skill. Word reached the media soon after. Reporters camped outside the base, hungry for the story of the phantom pilot who had humbled an enemy fleet. Elena shied away from the spotlight at first, preferring the solitude of her quarters where she pored over flight manuals. But her superiors insisted she speak, seeing her as a propaganda goldmine. In her first interview, she spoke simply, "I flew to protect my team. The sky is fair. It rewards those who prepare." Her words resonated, drawing letters from aspiring pilots across the country. Back in her village, her family beamed with pride. Her mother, a schoolteacher, shared clippings with neighbors, while her father tinkered with a model of her MiG, his eyes misty. "I always knew," he said. Elena visited home briefly, walking the familiar dirt roads. Children followed her, asking about the jets. She knelt to their level, explaining how planes worked, igniting dreams in their young minds. Meanwhile, the war dragged on. Elena's squadron faced more missions, but now she led formations. Her tactics, using terrain for cover, predicting enemy patterns, became standard training. In one sortie over a mountain range, she spotted an ambush early, saving lives. Her confidence grew, but so did the risks. Enemy forces put a bounty on her head, calling her the Sky Witch. She laughed it off, but flew with extra vigilance. Personal life crept in amid the chaos. She formed a bond with a fellow pilot, Sergei, who had witnessed her heroics. Their talks under starry nights turned from strategy to hopes for peace. "After this, we'll fly for fun," he promised. Elena smiled, but war's shadow loomed. A promotion came swiftly. Captain Petrova now. With it, responsibility weighed heavier. She trained rookies, emphasizing focus and teamwork. "Don't underestimate anyone," she'd say, echoing her own story. Her legend inspired reforms, with more women enlisting. Elena's 20 minutes had sparked a movement. Yet, doubts lingered in quiet moments. Was it luck or skill? She tested herself in simulations, always pushing boundaries. One evening, reviewing footage, she saw patterns she missed before, ways to improve. Humility kept her sharp. As months passed, ceasefire talks began. Elena's feat was cited in negotiations, a symbol of determination. She dreamed of a world without dogfights, where flying meant freedom, not fear. Elena's story evolved beyond the battlefield as peace tentatively took hold. With the conflict winding down, she transitioned to instructing at the Air Academy. Cadets hung on her every word, recreating her maneuvers in simulators. "Feel the jet as an extension of yourself," she taught, demonstrating rolls and dives with effortless grace. One student, a young woman named Anya, reminded Elena of her younger self. Eager, but overlooked. Elena mentored her closely, watching Anya blossom into a top flyer. Recognition poured in. Medals adorned her uniform. The Hero of the Nation award presented in a grand ceremony. The president shook her hand, cameras flashing. Elena spoke humbly. "This is for every pilot who fights for what's right." Backstage, she met veterans who shared their tales, forging connections across generations. Life outside uniform beckoned. Elena wrote a memoir, detailing not just the kills, but the fears, the teamwork, the human cost of war. Publishers snapped it up, and it hit shelves to rave reviews. Readers wrote of inspiration, how her story changed views on women in combat. Romance with Sergei deepened. They married in a simple village ceremony, surrounded by family and squadron mates. Honeymoon flights over serene lakes replaced combat sorties. "This is the real victory," Sergei said, as they soared together. But old habits died hard. Elena volunteered for humanitarian missions, delivering aid to war-torn areas. Piloting cargo planes, she saw the ground scars up close. Ruined homes, displaced families. It fueled her advocacy for peace, speaking at conferences. "War takes more than it gives," she urged diplomats. Her village honored her with a statue, a pilot gazing skyward. Children played around it, dreaming big. Elena visited schools, encouraging STEM pursuits. "The sky is limitless," she'd say. Challenges arose, too. Post-traumatic stress whispered in quiet nights. Echoes of explosions, lost comrades. Therapy helped, and support from Sergei grounded her. She channeled energy into a foundation for female aviators, offering scholarships. As years advanced, Elena's hair grayed, but her spirit soared. Grandchildren listened wide-eyed to her tales. "Were you scared, Grandma?" one asked. "Yes, but courage is acting despite fear," she replied. Her legacy endured in Air Force reforms, with women in key roles. Elena's 20 minutes had redefined possibilities, proving one person's actions ripple far. With fame came opportunities Elena never imagined. She consulted on aviation films, ensuring authenticity in dogfight scenes. Directors marveled at her insights. That's how it really feels, the rush, the precision. One movie, loosely based on her life, won awards, bringing her story to global audiences. Elena attended premieres, humbly deflecting praise. "The real heroes are those who didn't come back," she'd remind. Travel broadened her horizons. Invited to international air shows, she demonstrated vintage jets, thrilling crowds with acrobatics. In Paris, she met female pilots from around the world, sharing experiences over coffee. Bonds formed, leading to a global network for women in aviation. Back home, she tackled environmental issues in flying. Advocating for sustainable fuels, Elena lobbied governments. "We protect the skies. Now let's preserve them," she argued. Her efforts influenced policies, reducing emissions in military fleets. Family life flourished. Sergei and she built a home near an airfield, where they restored old planes as a hobby. Their children pursued passions. One became an engineer, another a doctor, crediting Elena's example. Holidays buzzed with stories, laughter echoing like engine roars. Yet, reflections on that 20-minute frenzy persisted. Elena revisited the site, now peaceful fields. Standing there, she felt gratitude for survival and change sparked. One flight changed everything, she mused. Philanthropy grew. Her foundation expanded, training hundreds. Success stories poured in, a graduate leading missions, another inventing safety gear. Elena beamed at graduations, seeing her impact. Aging gracefully, she wrote a second book on leadership. Underestimation is a gift. Use it, she advised. It became a bestseller in business circles. In quiet moments, Elena flew solo, feeling the wind's embrace. The sky remained her sanctuary, a reminder of resilience. Elena's influence rippled into the future as she entered her later years. Mentoring evolved into policy advising. Governments sought her expertise on defense strategies. Focus on people, not just machines, she counseled, drawing from experience. Her input shaped training programs, emphasizing diversity and mental health. A museum exhibit honored her. Artifact from her jet, photos of the battle. Visitors marveled. School groups learned history through her lens. Elena gave tours, animating tales with vivid details. Personal milestones marked time. Anniversaries with Sergei, celebrated simply. Picnics under flight paths. Their love, forged in fire, endured. You still amaze me, he said. Health scares came, a minor heart issue, but Elena bounced back, crediting discipline. She took up yoga, adapting pilot focus to mindfulness. Her story inspired art. Songs, paintings, even a video game where players relived her feats. Elena played it once, chuckling at the drama. As the world changed, drones rising, conflicts shifting, Elena adapted, lecturing on ethics in aerial warfare. Technology serves humanity, not replaces it, she warned. Grandchildren carried her torch. One joined the Air Force, acing tests with her guidance. Family gatherings swelled with pride. In her final reflections, Elena penned letters to future generations. Believe in yourself, even when others don't. The sky awaits. Her passing was peaceful, more nationally. Tributes poured in, flyovers, memorials. But her essence lived on, in every woman who flew, in every underdog who triumphed. Those 20 minutes had immortalized her, a beacon of what one determined soul can achieve. Elena Petrova lived many more years after the war ended. Peace came slowly to her country. The fighting stopped. People started to rebuild homes and schools. The skies became quiet. No more missiles. No more dogfights. For the first time in a long time, Elena could fly without fear. She felt strange at first. Her body still waited for the alarm. Her hands still gripped the controls tight. But the danger was gone. She took a job at the Maine Air Force Academy, the place where young people learn to fly. Every morning, she walked across the wide airfield. The grass smelled fresh after rain. Jets stood in neat rows, shining in the sun. Cadets in blue uniforms ran past her doing morning exercises. They looked at her with big eyes. Everyone knew her name. Some whispered when she passed. That is Captain Petrova, the one who shot down 6 jets in 20 minutes. Her first class always started the same way. She stood in front of 30 new students. Most were boys. A few girls sat in the back rows. Elena looked at each face. She remembered how she once sat in a similar room. People thought she did not belong. Now she was the teacher. Good morning, she said in a clear voice. Today we do not talk about machines first. We talk about the person inside the cockpit. Your mind must be strong. Your heart must be brave. Skill comes later. Courage comes first. One boy raised his hand. Everyone says you were scared during the battle. Is that true? Elena smiled a little. Yes, I was scared. Very scared. My stomach felt like ice. My hand shook before I took off. But fear is normal. The trick is not to let it stop you. The cadets listened hard. They wrote notes. They wanted to learn everything she knew. In the classroom, Elena used simple drawings on the board. She showed how she turned her jet, how she used the sun to hide, how she guessed what the enemy would do next. She never made it sound easy. She told them the truth. Every move took years of practice. Every second counted. After class, she took small groups to the simulators. The machines looked like real cockpits. Screens showed sky and clouds. The seats moved when you turned. Elena sat in one simulator with a young girl named Marina. Marina was shy. She held the stick too tight. The jet on the screen shook. "Relax your hands," Elena said softly. "The jet is your friend. Talk to it. Feel it." Marina tried again. This time the turn was smooth. Elena nodded. "Good. Now faster." Day by day, Marina got better. Elena watched her grow. It felt good, like planting a small tree and seeing it become tall. Sometimes old friends from the squadron visited. They sat together in the small cafeteria. They drank strong tea and ate bread with cheese. They laughed about old times. "Remember when you almost crashed during training?" Sergei asked one day. Elena loathed. "I remember. The instructor yelled at me for 2 hours. Those were hard days. But they made us ready," Sergei said. "Yes," Elena answered quietly. "They made us ready." Life outside the academy was calm. Elena and Sergei bought a small house near a lake. The house had a red roof and white walls. Flowers grew in the front yard. Every evening they walked by the water. Ducks swam in slow circles. The sun turned the lake gold. One evening Sergei stopped walking. He looked at Elena. "Do you miss it?" he asked. "The fighting, the speed." Elena thought for a moment. "I miss the feeling of being alive. Every sense sharp. But I do not miss the death. I do not miss losing friends." Sergei took her hand. "I am glad the war is over." "Me too," she said. They had 2 children, a boy named Victor and a girl named Sophia. Both loved planes. Victor wanted to be a pilot like his mother. Sophia wanted to build them. She drew designs on paper. Strange wings. New engines. Elena kept every drawing in a wooden box. When the children were small, Elena took them to the airfield. She let them sit in the cockpit of an old training jet. They touched the buttons. They asked 1,000 questions. "Why does this lever move the flaps? What happens if you pull this?" Elena answered each question. She never said, "Because I said so." She explained. She wanted them to understand. Years passed. Victor grew tall. He joined the Air Force. His first solo flight day came. Elena stood on the ground watching. The jet taxied. It rolled faster. Then it lifted off, clean and smooth. Elena felt tears in her eyes. Not from worry, from pride. Sophia went to university. She studied engineering. She worked on new plane designs. One day, she showed Elena a model. "Look, Mama, this wing shape saves fuel. It makes the plane turn quicker." Elena touched the model carefully. "It is beautiful," she said. "You are making the future." The country changed. More women became pilots. More women became engineers. More women led squadrons. People said Elena started it. She always shook her head. "I only showed it could be done. The rest they did themselves." One summer, an international air show invited Elena. Pilots from many countries came. They flew in formation. They did loops and rolls. Crowds clapped and cheered. Elena gave a speech on the last day. She stood on a high stage. Thousands of people looked up. She wore her old uniform. The medals shone in the sun. "I was once told women cannot fight in the sky," she began. "I was told I was too small, too quiet, too soft. But the sky does not listen to those words. The sky only asks one question. Can you fly well? If you can, then you belong here." The crowd was silent. They listened. Today, young girls and boys from every country sit in cockpits. They fly together. They train together. They protect together. That is the real victory. Not 6 jets in 20 minutes. The real victory is a world where everyone who loves flying gets a chance. People stood and clapped. Some had tears. Elena stepped down. Children ran to her with flowers. She took them and smiled. After the show, she met many pilots. A woman from America hugged her. "Thank you for showing us the way." A man from India shook her hand. "My daughter wants to fly because of your story." Elena felt warm inside, like the sun after a cold night. Back home, life became quieter. Her hair turned gray. Small lines appeared around her eyes. But she still flew. Not in fighters. In light planes, she flew over forests and rivers. She flew low so she could see deer running. She flew high so she could touch clouds. One day a letter came from the president. They wanted to name a new airport after her. Elena Petrova International Airport. She read the letter twice. Then she laughed. Me? An airport? What a strange thing. Sergei smiled. You deserve it. The opening day was big. Flags waved. Bands played. People came from far away. Elena cut the red ribbon. Cameras flashed. She looked at the sign. Her name in big letters. She walked to the balcony. Below her, planes took off and landed. People moved like ants. Life went on. She thought about the day long ago. The day she climbed into her MiG. The day the enemy laughed because she was a woman. The day she proved them wrong. Now she stood above it all, watching the next generation fly. That night she sat with her family. Victor home on leave. Sophia with her new baby. Grandchildren laughed and ran. Elena looked at them. Her heart felt full. Later she went outside. Stars filled the sky. She looked up for a long time. The sky is still there, she whispered. And it still waits for anyone brave enough to reach it. Years later, when Elena grew old, she spent most days at home. She sat in a chair by the window. She watched planes cross the blue. She smiled every time. Visitors came often. Young pilots, old friends, school children. They asked questions. She answered with patience. One small girl came with her mother. She was 7 years old. She had dark eyes and short hair. Do you still fly? The lady asked. Not fast jets anymore, Elena said. But I still fly. Would you like to come with me one day? The girl's eyes grew wide. Really? Yes, Elena said. When you are bigger, I will take you up, and you can see the world from above. The girl hugged her. Thank you, Grandma Elena. Elena loves it. She liked being called Grandma Elena. When the time came, Elena could no longer walk far. Her legs were weak. Her breath came short, but her mind stayed sharp. One morning, she asked Victor to take her to the airfield. He helped her into the car. They drove slowly. The road felt familiar. At the hangar, a small plane waited. It was painted white and blue. Victor and a friend helped Elena into the seat. They put a blanket over her knees. Are you sure, Mama? Victor asked. Yes, she said. I want to fly one last time. The engine started. The propeller turned. The plane rolled. Then it lifted. Gentle. Soft. Elena looked out the window. Fields. Rivers. Forests. All below her. She closed her eyes. She felt the air. She felt the freedom. When they landed, she was smiling. Thank you, she said. That night, she told stories to her grandchildren. About the war. About the 20 minutes. About the friend she lost. About the one she saved. They listened with open mouths. When she finished, she looked at them. Never let anyone tell you what you cannot do, she said. The sky is big enough for everyone. The next morning, Elena did not wake up. She left quietly, like a plane flying into the clouds. The whole country mourned. Flags flew at half-mast. Planes did a final flyover. Their wings dipped in salute. But her story did not end. It lived in every girl who looked up and dreamed, in every boy who trained hard, in every person who refused to give up. Elena Petrova was gone, but the sky still remembered her, and it always would.